Good morning. Welcome to this Dharma talk. Happens every Sunday around, supposed to be 11:11, but usually I think that happened because I never could get it at 11, so we moved it to 11:11 and then now it's 11:16. Late. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for your help. Thank you for your generosity in giving up some time to study the Dharma a little bit this morning with this community and with this teacher. Also, thank you for your help in so many ways, financial help and all different ways. This morning's Dharma talk is titled what?
The nature of helping,
That?
or the,
Ondavang, he had to finesse it.
Oh.
The intention to help.
I like that. So the intention to help, we all want to help, or at least we say we do, or sometimes we say, well, I'm just trying to help you. When somebody's reacting to what we're doing or something, just trying to be helpful. So it might be a very good idea if you really sincerely, genuinely want to help anyone, including yourself, is to look closely at what is happening in front of you with that person, with yourself, with your own mind stream. Look at it rather than jump in there with your preconceptions, your ideas, your judgments, your protocols, your ways of helping that may be not so helpful, but may make you feel like a helpful person. And sometimes our intention to help someone, if we look closely, we might even know someone, maybe it's you, but we notice that it's not all that helpful, and we notice that if we look more closely into that, it's that we're trying to appear helpful. In many ways that shows up. Not about correcting it. You'll never hear me say, fix that, don't do that, stop that. And if I do say, don't do that, stop that, I want you to see the way you do it, be more aware of the way you push on this aggression, pull on that, change that, blame that, manipulate that, tell stories about it, get dramatical about something that's very simple in order to reinforce your own ego, your own self-centeredness. Motivation is very important. If you really want to help someone, you might not do much at all, because you will see people really need to do this themselves. They really need to help themselves, rather than you get to do some special thing where they shower you with gratitude. This is an area that is very important to me, not so easy to talk about in such a way that you're going to walk out of here thinking, that was so helpful. Even though that's what I'm looking for, credit. We do this together. So this is a Dharma talk, but also your questions will be helpful to take us deeper into that area that you personally are dealing with, or you're running into what obstacles from your own mind stream that are coming up, or how you keep failing at trying to help yourself, or maybe help your partner, or help someone very, very close to you. It's especially hard to help somebody who is very close to you, very intimate with you, you're very, very connected with them, and you just see them doing something that if you were to, it's so destructive to them. They might as well be pounding their head on the wall, but to them, it looks like they're doing something helpful. You probably have some memory of that showing up in your life somewhere. Hard to help somebody who just doesn't want it. And often, maybe all the time, when somebody doesn't want to help, you might want to just mind your own business and be respectful. You've heard me say this many times. Respect confusion. Respect the confusion, because you aren't really respectful of the confusion. That means respect the way in which a person is confused, or you're confused, or the confusion shows up in such a way that there's no way to see what kind of causation is there that even opens itself up to having an off switch or a volume or something. We can turn down the heat. Quite often we try to approach that through drugs, through activity, through jogging. I'm not against jogging. jog. I wish I could jog. I can't. My body will not let me do that at this point. So I'm not against any way of working with your body mind. Please do it. But I think it's very important also to, and I'm very biased here, to hold still. You don't have to join Buddhism. Hold still. And observe. What shows up in the mind stream without accepting it, without rejecting it, and without ignoring it. This is the practice of Shikantaza as I teach it, and have been teaching it for a long time, and have been practicing it for a long time. There are lots of ways to do this. There are a lot more controlled ways, and I've practiced, not all of them, but many of them. Deity yoga, having a visualization, having a mantra, having mudras, having all kinds of fancy, I've done millions of them. So I'm not talking about a book I read, I'm talking about something I've done for years and years and years. Not against that, you need to do that, I'll show you how. But I think the most important thing that any of us can do is to hold still, be silent, and just observe. Use the very sense fields as they were designed. This doesn't produce sounds. This or this doesn't produce thoughts. It just looks like it. You do not produce sights. The only way you can produce a sight is look from that side of the road to this side of the road. That's not producing anything. There is it. But quite often we run into a situation where there's some kind of difficulty, maybe with ourselves, but maybe with someone else. And instead of watching it, observing it, smelling it, tasting it, hearing it, feeling it, and having a willingness to be really, really uncomfortable with her, with him, with them, just feel that. Be with them. Just be with them. You're not going to be able to be with them, as far as I can tell. Not saying there isn't some magic formula somewhere, but unless you spend a lot of time being with yourself. Don't fight with yourself. Don't try to get something else out of the situation. My way of saying it is very, maybe a little, it's very simple. I'm just saying, don't improve. Stop it. Not trying to take something you don't understand and take it and turn it into something else you don't understand. Just jump on the train of samsara, cause and effect, cause and effect, cause and effect. Cause and effect is an illusion, and it's a painful one, and it's solid. You hear it, you feel it, and you believe it. I believe it, you believe it. We all believe this. It's not about disbelieving it. That's another polarity that we try to engender in order to give us the illusion of what? Control. Ego loves control. It doesn't even care if it's an illusion of control. There is fundamentally no control. If you think there is, that's the degree to which you believe in a separate self that has some kind of say-so about any damn thing. Go look in the mirror. Look in the mirror and find one thing about what's showing up in that mirror that you created. You didn't create anything. You appeared, and the identity adds itself on based on hope for something better for the body, fear of something worse for the body-mind complex. Very confusing. So if you are going to get back to the topic, if you are going to help someone, you probably are going to need to spend some time just listening to that person, deceiving that person, being with that person. And then through your own sitting practice of meditation, through your own awareness, through your own understanding of what your conflict is, your confusion, your difficulty is. And you found that you need to just really be very attentive to what's happening in your mind stream, rather than trying to push it or stop it or start it or cover it up with activities, different kinds of activities, or cover it up with artificially with drugs. Not that there are all kinds of medications out there that you may need, as you've heard me say a number of times. I'm not against that. You go to a doctor, or, therapist, whatever. Maybe there's approaches you need to take. I would not interfere with any of that. I would say spend some time sitting still and observing. And don't conclude when something comes up. Just if you don't conclude, there's a feeling of, could be a feeling of loneliness, could be a feeling of confusion, could be a feeling of not knowing what's going on or what to do next. That's awareness. That's not failure. But most of the world, as soon as they have any difficulty, what's wrong? I've got to fix it. I've got to stop. This is materialism. And it's psychological, spiritual, social, materialism. Just let's get rich and buy a lot of stuff. What was that you said this morning? What's so funny? I often say, don't do anything you have to. And the one that, what did you say? Don't buy anything unless you have to. Are you talking about me? Why is that funny?
Shall I mention that our house now looks like Amazon's warehouse? For your art project.
Books. And a lot of other stuff. But I'm buying those, it's my explanation, my justification, my. You smile. Yeah, say that. There's always an explanation for everything. I think it's true. I shouldn't buy so much. Thanks. So coming back to this help area, to look and just see if you're trying to just be a helpful person, if it's more about your identity or what somebody thinks of you. What if they don't think that I'm not being helpful? Or what if they think that since I'm sitting here not doing anything, I'm just listening, that person might even say to you, why aren't you going to help me? You could say, well, I'd like to help you. What can I do to help you? You might interact with that person in that way. And of course, they might tell you something that they would like you to do that you're not about to do. Excuse me, but it's not about the success or failure of that area. It's about communication. It's about speaking a little bit, but listening a lot. Listen to what is saying, what someone is saying, and also listen to what is happening in your mind stream without leaving for what you are listening to for a conclusion about it. It's that simple and it's that difficult. Something shows up in the mind, instead of just looking at it. If this were something in the mind, a thought, an emotion, a memory, something showing, we start to add on stories about it. We dramatize things. It's very childish to do that. Not wrong. It's just that we want it or we don't want it. It should go away or it should stop, or we want more of it, we want less of it, on and on and on, and reinforce the primary misunderstanding. Not only is that this is an illusion that we're deluded by into thinking it's real, but also reinforcing the primary illusion is that there's a separate being. There is no separate beings. Just looks intensely like there are. If not, then whose hand is this? This is just consciousness only. Right. Just consciousness. It has no past, has no future. And even the present is suspect. You can't be in the present moment. There is no such thing. You just listen to that and agree with me. I can take a question or I can keep talking. Yes,
On Divine, you say don't improve,
I do.
but you also say don't produce. Well, not, not,
Right. Mhm. Go ahead.
not act out of your emotion that you're feeling in that moment.
Not necessarily, you can just hold on to it a little bit and continue to receive. If you're producing either through your thought patterns, your mind, your thinking process, your analysis, or through your physical activity, including the movement of your hands like this, you're producing anything to the degree to which you are producing, to that degree, not that I'm into math, but to that degree, you stop receiving what is in front of you in the illusion. And if you don't see what's happening in the illusion, then as far as helping someone, any help you give will be based on your preconceptions about what it is. And it still could be helpful. It might even show up to 50 people all watching the situation. Oh my gosh, what a helpful person Ondo is. We need more Ondos. Or they might go just the other way, even though your intention and even the person or the situation was being helped, you might be heavily judged. So you just can't find a corner of it where there's any kind of agreement, because the nature of delusion, the nature of the illusion we are deluded by is so convincing. So what I am recommending, I'm suggesting, I'm saying to anybody who gives me the time of day, so to speak, is to train your mind. Spend some time holding still and watching the illusion. And slowly, can you say de-delude? Yeah, de-delude yourself. That's not correcting. Because you haven't fixed anything, you're just no longer are, you realize that you've been watching a movie. You've been watching a stage play. This is like some kind of a drama that everyone there, if you watch your life and watch what happens in your living room or down the hallway or next door or in your business or with your coworkers or with your family, you'll notice that everybody believes what they're doing. They just believe their thoughts and their opinions and their emotions, and relatively speaking, they're correct. It's not saying that the relative world that we have been immersed in, it doesn't have a really strong relative reality to it. It does, and it's intense. The difficulty we have with that is if you're just keeping it very simple, then your life is going just fine. And if your karma from the 13th century isn't trying to come through the doorway and act out emotions that you were managed to bury 500 years ago, and here they are coming back. There's no such thing as time. Don't believe anything I say. Consider it, but don't believe it. Just think about that, reflect on that, contemplate that. There isn't anything but right now, and that's suspect. You can't find the past, even though you remember it. You can't find the future, even though you think about it or dream about it. It's not there. It's unreal. This is completely unreal. Yes.
Kabbalah, I'm very inclined to help a lot. And you've told me that.
I did.
When is that a karmic situation, and when does it become me wanting to be a helpful looking person?
Yeah, I think that's you're very helpful. I mean, you don't need the compliment. It's just an observation. You're part of this community. You're a monk, and you're very, very helpful. If somebody needs help with something, you have time, you help them. There's a lot of people that do that. So I'm not saying don't do that. I'm just saying be aware of what's happening in that area, how you're functioning. More than likely, no matter what you do, somebody somewhere, even you perhaps, are projecting onto that what it looks like rather than what it actually is. There's a big difference between what something actually is and what we think it is. Called a preconception or a opinion or a belief or paranoia. Yes.
Kabbalah is part of that confusion, looking for some kind of sign that it's helpful.
Yes. Well said. Looking for proof. If you see what this is and you're functioning out of, the fancy word is reality, out of no past, no future, no otherness, the duality is gone, then you just function. You have no idea who you are, what you're going to do next, and you're just consciousness only. You have no identity any longer, even though you still have a sore finger, or even though you still are getting old, or even though you're hungry, or you're tired, or all the different things that show up in a human form. All those things are still there, but you are no longer using them as proof of anything. It's an illusion. Just like I've used for examples several times of a dream seems so real when you're having a nightmare or something like this, so real. When you wake up, it's not there. And this is what's being said, and this has been said in the tradition, especially the Tibetan tradition, for many, many years. The dream you have at night is that shows you what a dream is. This is the real dream. You can actually awaken from this while you're still in it. You can awaken from this. You can see that it's unreal. Will you do that? Will you be able to see that? Perhaps the thing that makes it hard is it is not an experience and it is not an event. It's like the lack of experience and the lack of any kind of anything in time. And, you know, if we go back, if I went back and say, well, when did I see that this was an illusion? There's no, there's no needle on one of these things. This is called a, don't help me, called a clock. What kind of clock is it? Is this a digital clock? What kind is it?
Yeah.
What's her first name? Anna. What's her last name? Log. This you should be using a circular clock, not a digital one. Just my recommendation, trying to be helpful. Yes, sir.
Sean, do you know what is helping? What is helping if you can't even tell what helping is if you're really
Very good. It's very, and this is difficult to understand with consciousness because we have to use concepts to point to it. And of course, the concepts are very highly contrasting as objects in our mind stream. Right, wrong, up, down, back, forth, life, death, all the concepts. So I'm going to say there's a concept that I use often, use it right now, is intention. The intention to see what this is. There's a Sanskrit word for intention. She shows that sankalpa. Yes, sankalpa, Sanskrit for just the intention. So you're not looking for results. That doesn't mean that you aren't totally aware of the illusion. You're watching it and you say in the consciousness, you can say it to yourself, I have the intention to see what this is, and then notice that you can't see it. And if you see it, then you've left the intention and you're looking for results. Trying to find out you're getting better, are you feeling better? Is meditation helping you? Meditation isn't going to help you. If it's a kind of meditation that helps you, maybe that's what you need to do. I'm not trying to stop you from doing that. Some people really need to practice this kind of, that kind of, this kind if they're doing meditation at all. But coming back to your question, intention is so important and so difficult because the ego mind wants results. I'm going to waste my time on something I can't tell what's happening. More.
Sean, if it's the intention to help, then what does help even mean?
Okay, let's go with the mean. What do you mean by mean?
What's the definition of help? Or how do we explain what help is if our intention is trying to do that?
It might come apart in that area. Let's go further, more.
How do we intend to help if we don't know what helping is?
Just go return to the intention. Listen to the elderly. Just return to the intention. It won't, if it feels like you're kind of failing at it, you can't fail at intention because there's no proof. You can't fail at it because there's no way to fail at that. The only way to fail at it, and even that isn't failure, is just to not do it. And then you return to, you don't maintain intention. All that's misunderstood in some traditions, some teachings have different ways of trying to keep you intending and keep you. And I'm okay with that too, but I mean, sometimes chanting mantras and so on helps you intend. And all beings, be happy and at their ease, something you would say over and over again. But just to intend, I intend to see what this is. And the other one that you've heard me say and has been around for a while is, thank you very much. I have no complaints whatsoever. Even though in the middle of that, you feel very upset about your life or about things that are happening. But you have a deeper inspiration to see deeply what this is. And you say that so you don't get caught up in your petty grievances about everything, your own particular drama. They don't last. Like while they're happening, they can be upsetting. More.
Sean, can you even help before you see what this is?
Yes. Yes, you may not get approved or get a credential, but The help might just be no longer being a nuisance to people. That's awful, isn't it? Someone that you've been kind of bothersome to them, but now you're just listening to them, you're just with them, you're just bumping elbows or looking at them. This is not, go ahead. You,
Sean, do you have any- so are we just helping the illusion function?
in what way? By intention?
I don't know, with whatever we're trying to help.
Yeah. This is a trap.
I feel trapped.
Ah, I do too. I do too. So what do we do if we feel trapped, if we feel confused? Just look at it. If you can just look at it, what the primary illusion is that there's a separate being. In this case, this guy or anyone, there's a separate being to just observe the pushing and pulling. If you try to fix it, that reinforces the circularity of the confusion, the original, reinforces the original mistaken identity that there is someone who can win or lose. You are liberated on the spot, always Buddha. You're always awake. You've never slept. I mean, your actual self, not your relative self that has a name and a birth date and all of the other things that show up in the complicated lifetime that we have, morning, noon, and night. All the things that happen in our basic melodrama. That's all unreal. Doesn't mean we look away from it. That gives it a reality. If you push it away, it pushes back. It's an illusion. If you ignore it, because it's part of your whole consciousness dynamic, this particular karma or dynamic that you're in, so it needs to be received rather than pushed away or judged or evaluated or in other words, don't add on to the confusion. Having an intention to see the truth won't add on to any confusion. We also may not particularly feel good about it. That's why the Buddha said, first noble truth, life is suffering. Very challenging and difficult. We have a community, do this together. We have a teacher, in this case, this person, just here to encourage you to do it yourself.
Yeah, Bowie.
Go ahead, Deb.
Could helping look like not fighting against things as they arise? Could it be that simple or
Yes.
uncomplicated? Thank you, Deb
Yes.
Bowie.
Yes, it's not complicated. But the complications or the drama or the stories that we generate around things just make everything blurry, so we can't see what the fundamental issue is. And the fundamental issue seems to be thinking somebody's wrong or something's wrong or something needs to be fixed, or even the worst crime is dependently risen. The worst thing that's ever happened, evil people or whatever you want to call them, the people that are so confused and are hurting others. The whole idea of going in and punishing anyone or giving someone consequences, it's just, you might as well just build more merry-go-rounds in your mind. Everything's circular, good and evil, good and bad, right and wrong, life and death, success and failure, needs to be seen.
Thank you.
Sanji bowing. Sanji bowing.
Go
When you
ahead.
talk about help, aren't you talking about the action?
No,
But isn't the action the thing that's real? And our thoughts about it the thing that is the illusion?
no, the action is unreal.
You coming and giving this talk this morning, that's an action, and that seems very real to me.
Well, that's because you're deluded by the illusion. This is not real. This is an illusion. I know it, you don't. That simple. I want you to see this. I want you to see it yourself. That's the only reason I'm still alive. If you want to call this living.
So living is an illusion?
Yes. It is. But you have to see it. Don't believe what I'm saying. Don't believe anything. Don't believe anything, don't disbelieve anything, and don't ignore anything. Just use your awareness, which is your birthright. You have awareness. You don't necessarily have to sit around and think about everything. Or build up drama, or try to get results, or squeeze some kind of happiness out of this crazy world. More?
But the illusion seems so real. I mean, you're talking and teaching right now, and that seems very real. What
Well,
is an illusion about it?
It's not real and you think it is real. That's you're deluded by it. So you want me to teach you more directly?
Yes.
Wake the fuck up. How's that? I mean it. I mean, wake up. And you have to look at the ignorance. You have to see it. And it's so hard because it's so personal to look at your mind stream and see that you are operating your life out of what you think, what you believe, and all the dramas you create. None of this is real. It is unreal. There is no past and future. Don't believe me. I'm here to tell you about something I'm looking at. I don't teach out of, I have lots of books. I'm gonna read them. Unless I want to test AI and see if they know what I know, and they don't. They make mistakes all the time. Are you AI? Just checking. It's going to, that's why it's an illusion, because it looks so real. And that's why what I'm saying is you're deluded by, just like we're deluded by any number of things, thinking that something happening over here is because of this, when actually something happening over here is just that. We leave what shows up for what we think about it, which is the way the circularity in samsara or the illusion works. And it brings us back lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. Morning, noon, and night, morning, noon, and night, rotating. You don't have to do that. You can see what this is by the intention. You may have to formally become a student, you may have to receive vows, you may not. You've received a lay, you've received yukai or lay vows. And it just gives you some glue so you can continue to look at this, because it's hard to keep your intention onto what this is. Because what this appears to be is what takes us to the kitchen table and out to the car and down the road and to someone's house, and then disagreeing with the property line between your neighbor's house and yours, and then something about how you're treating your spouse or your children or something. You're not happy with this. It's just as Shakespeare said, I think it was, it's a comedy of errors. It's not funny. If it's just goes on and on and on. People's misunderstanding about everything becomes a reinforcement to the idea that there's somebody who's doing well, or somebody who's not doing so well, or maybe somebody who's fairly neutral. It's unreal.
So getting up every morning and making my coffee is just an illusion.
Yes. It is. But I'm saying, don't believe that and use that as a concept. You can consider that and then look at that when you're reaching for your coffee cup, when you're getting up, when you're walking across the room. But that will not show up as other than just a story that you narrate in your mind stream, unless you have a lot of mind training. You have to sit still. I'm very biased when it comes to this. If you don't sit still and watch the movement of the mind and slowly strengthen, it's just a relative way, it's not even strengthening it. It's be more like you're prioritizing the observer part of the mind, and you're not reinforcing the muscle bound part of the mind, which is the thinking process or the fourth skandha. You're not going into that for help for your ego, to support your ego about thoughts and ideas and conclusions and judgments and opinions, evaluations, and protecting the paranoid part of the consciousness, which is ego. Nothing is threatened. If you think something is threatened anywhere, I'm not saying you're not threatened if If a lion comes out of the woods and chases you, yes, but that's a very simple situation. Run. I mean, you're just part of the illusion. But fundamentally, nothing's threatened. If that lion kills you, who you are cannot be killed, because who you are has not appeared. Who you actually are is consciousness only. It's not a thing. It has no existential, it has no ontological status as a fancy description. It has no status as something. It's consciousness. We need to talk about it in some way, because a long time ago somebody stumbled into that. Most of the world is going around working with things, to go back to the original topic of this morning's talk, working in a relative way of helping and not being helpful, or noticing that some people are more helpful than others, or trying to show up as a helpful person. You can put a lot of energy into how you appear as helpful rather than how you would actually be helpful. Because if you're actually fundamentally helpful to others, probably won't get much of a credential. It might not even be noticed. And then what happens? Then the pride part of the ego shows up and say, don't you appreciate what I'm doing for you, kind of thing? No one seems to notice how helpful I've been. Ego. Yes.
Hogan bowing. Earlier teachings talk about concentration, clarity, insight as a way to help. Your teachings sometimes include confusion, helplessness, disorientation. How do those qualities support the intention to help?
Because we need to look at the issue. You cannot work with something in a skillful, sane way if you're working with your preconceptions about what it is. So it might be necessary to go into the cave of demons and look, be there with the emotions. When you sit, or when you stand, or when you walk around and you're feeling like crap, don't cover that up with anything. I'm not saying you might not need to take some ibuprofen sometime. That's very situational, but fundamentally try to receive the shit you're trying to get rid of. Actually, just receive it. Do it on behalf. You can't do it for yourself. Do it for others. Ritualize it. I receive everything on behalf of all beings. Allow me consciousness. You don't have to pray to the Buddha. Let me receive everything that I'm trying to fight with. Finally, no more war forever. No more war. Very difficult to do. A lot of teachings and teachers are promoting more of the mindfulness, be aware, and more of the positive areas of that. And I talk about that also. I don't ignore it, but I think it's good to talk about the difficulty so that we can be aware of the difficulty. The Buddha was not aware of bright lights and shining gold cities. The Buddha was aware of suffering. More about that, we have it.
Hogan bowing, how does asking a deity to help?
So you can't find your own wisdom mind, because it's I'm not saying you couldn't, but it's unlikely, because it's such a scramble of it's so chaotic in terms of passion, aggression, ignorance, hope, and fear. And ego is all using all of those dynamics to protect an artificial aspect of consciousness called narcissism or ego. And it's unreal. And so by positing or visualizing, this is you're talking about the Tibetan approach of deity yoga. So you're actually looking at an image like Padmasambhava, or like Vajrasattva, or Vajrayogini, or Chenrezig, or Apahara, whichever one. There's lots of them. White Tara, which we do right over here in this corner. We look at that and we talk to that. We use the artificiality of the illusion and actually make use of that illusion in such a way, using the chemistry or the activity of the consciousness to deliberately look at that. We know it's an illusion, something we just invented. We just invented that, but we need to have some way to contact that aspect of consciousness that is wisdom. And wisdom doesn't have any positionality, so we give it a position. That deity, White Tara. When we talk to her, we know she's unreal. We're making it up. We're visualizing her on our head or in front of us or as our whole form, and we're talking to her. help me, give me wisdom. Give me long life. Help me save all beings for me. So, and visualizing that energy coming out of your heart, if you are White Tara or coming out of White Tara's heart and going out and imagine it, use your imagination, use your mind. Is that the question you're asking me? I teach that if somebody's interested, but I don't promote it. I wait. I don't have any patience at all. Why don't I have any patience? I can tell you, but you might be able to tell me if you're listening to me. Say it.
There's no one there.
It's more action in it than that. That's true, there's no one there. But I don't care what happens. If you care what happens, then you can't really intend because you're looking for a result. You have to just give your flesh and blood, your heart, give everything to it. I don't know another way. And you'll get a credential. You'll not get credit. You won't get a pat on the back. And the only thing that wants pat on the back is that part of the consciousness that thinks it's a separate person. Consciousness doesn't need any backup. It doesn't need any help. It does not need a gold star. And that's when wisdom is and wisdom and compassion are not two different things. Wisdom seems to be stillness, and compassion seems to be movement. More about that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Don't get to say that unless someone asks me. Yes, sir.
Yoka Bowing, questions from YouTube, Stephen Bowing, Stephen Johnson. It seems ego is just a feature of consciousness, like everything else being received. Can you speak on this, Bowing?
Yeah, sure. Should I? Speak on that. You lost me there.
Yoka Bowing.
By the way, I just spoke on it right there. I have no idea what you're saying. Different kind of knowing. You can repeat the question and I'll come back to her.
Yoka Bowing, Stephen Bowing. It seems ego is just a feature of consciousness, like everything else being received. Can you speak on this?
You already did. Just about the awareness of that. You don't have to fix it. You don't have to do anything with it. It's just a feature of consciousness. And it's unreal. Find out what is real. You find out what's real, and you won't be able to tell anybody about it. There are no words for it. But if you see it, then you might end up doing something what I'm doing. You also might mind your own business, shut up and, start a potato farm in Vermont. There's a big building there that they make ketchup for sale. Buy that, stop, get rid of all the ketchup bottles and plant potatoes. Anything else? Yes, you have more.
There's a couple more. Yoka Bowing, question from Jamie. When you say don't do anything unless you have to, what does that mean? How do we make apparent decisions?
So what I'm saying there is hold back a little bit and look at, you have to be a meditator. You have to be practicing meditation, holding still and watching the movement of the mind, so that when you get up off the cushion and the body mind is not now in, the whole body is in action, then there's still a possibility you can receive with clarity what is happening in your life and what you need to act on and what you need to mind your own business, or you need to watch for a longer period. Looking for results is ego language. So that doesn't mean you don't have to pay your electric bill or feed the dog or do all the other, but get some groceries. But those are very simple situations that arise. It's time to do this or time to do that. And we have structures and forms for that. And so you can use those to help you. When it comes to more complicated or existential things about your life, don't do it. Don't do anything. I even say it if someone says, well, should I meditate? And I say, I don't know, should you? Well, I don't know. What do you think? And I said, I don't. If you put me on the spot, I'll say, probably you should meditate. And then the person might say, well, why? So I think you might want to get to know who you are. And well, I already know why. Someone said that, I'm just inventing this, I would say, I would respect that, I would say, okay, good, you're happy, then go live, enjoy your life. Well, I'm not enjoying my life. So then we might come back to square one and say, well, you might want to take a close look at who it is that's not enjoying themselves, that's having difficulty. So coming back to your question, Jamie, it's about the decisions when they're based on right and wrong, up and down, back and forth, should be and shouldn't be, a mistake or not a mistake, or don't want to do anything wrong, or some kind of either a cultural backup that tells you how to live your life, or your own upbringing, which could be very good upbringing, it could be horrible. Even horrible upbringing still conditions us to function in a certain way in the world. Observe all of that, but don't necessarily believe it. And don't disbelieve it. And don't ignore it.
Elena
Right.
Bowing
When
is don't do anything unless you have to, along the same lines of letting things unfold naturally.
I don't use that statement because I think it's too full of preconceptions. Then you get to be the one who's letting things unfold naturally. And you can even tell people when they accuse you of this, or, well, I'm just letting things unfold naturally. Or you might tell yourself that. And when you say that to yourself, you're covering up because if you're really looking at what is happening, you won't be able to make that statement. Because you'll not have any credential in that area. So let's come back to what you're interpreting. You're saying, what was the first thing you said? Is it like what? Watch what moves. Is it like that? Or you're not, when you watch what moves, here's what's moving. I'm gonna use my hand, here's my hand, here's what's moving. You know, a spider in the wind, and it's coming towards you and it doesn't feel very good. And then you start thinking about it. So you're not just observing it anymore. You got a name, spider, and you got another name, wind, or I just invented all that. And it's coming towards you and it looks threatening. And then we start doing things with it. And what I'm saying is, this might be impossible for you to do, is let it do whatever it wants to do. When I say even let is extra. Because you can't really, if you're watching a cloud go through the sky, you can't let the cloud do what it wants. You have no say so about that cloud. Clouds are none of your business. Also, goldfish are none of your business. Try to tell a goldfish what to do. Don't swim that way, swim this way. You can't, that's the same, take that attitude towards your thoughts. Just watch your thoughts come and go, like goldfish, watch them go, don't accept them, don't reject them. Don't do anything with them. You could say, if you get to that area, you could say you could actually enjoy your thinking process and watch and see that there's no thinker there. No one's thinking anything. Much easier than thinking that you think, because you don't.
Elena Bowing is not making a decision covering things up.
It could show up that way. You mean being like stubborn about it? I know I've got to decide this or this, but I'm just not going to decide that or something. Is that where you're going with it? What do you want to know? Ask me that question.
That is what I want to know.
Ask me that again.
Elena Bowing. So is being the one that doesn't make the decision, is that also a way of covering things up, or like sticking your head in the sand?
It could be, but it's not about not covering things up. It's not about not sticking your head in the sand. It's about being aware of that. Because if you try to set up some parameter there where that's about the ego trying to control everything, trying to be a good person, or a person that doesn't cover things up. You're getting a very subtle, paper thin credential out of it, but all it takes to keep you away from wisdom or your Buddha nature's onion skin. Just enough ignorance to shut that, and it can do it for decades. Unless you have mind training, unless you have something where you can sit down and just intentionally and even relentlessly continue to look into the darkness of your mind stream. Look into it. It will not have much light there. More? Thank you for the questions. Yes, sir.
Ilka Bowing, couple more on YouTube. Tom in California asks, have you ever thought about the difference between a reaction and a response?
Hmm. Yeah, I see, March 13th. So I'm following what you're saying, I'm tracking it. I think that's a good topic to react is tied into one's karma and one's, it's not coming out of awareness, it's coming out of, I like it, I don't like it, it's good, that shouldn't be happening, this shouldn't, so out of the mind stream that is just conditioned to show up in terms of pushing or pulling. So the response, I tie that into the word responsibility, the ability to respond. And the responsibility is not blame. It's you're there and you have the ability to respond to something in a genuine way, which may be no response, no recognizable response at all. You just observe it. If you just watch something move and go this way or open up this way and turn away, that is responsibility, not blame. It's responsibility, as it says in the 3 pure precepts. The last one is be with all things. No more war with anything. No more. I don't care how evil or how horrible it is. This doesn't mean you agree with it. Don't agree with it, but also you're not going to fight with things that have big teeth. Don't fight with anything. Everything is there because it is dependently risen. That's a concept that's very difficult for any of us to understand. We can understand that intellectually, and even that is very, very difficult and time consuming to study Pratitya Samutpada, to understand that with the intellect and realize that not once you get that kind of clear, it's further than that, to use a relative term. It's further, it actually isn't any second, and it is not any different from it. It's just that you cannot conclude things with a thinking process without covering up the reality of who you actually are, which is nothing or no one in particular. It's just consciousness only. So the response is a very gentle response. It's like an open hand. It's just, if it fills up, fine. If nothing shows up, fine. And even the word fine is a little bit extra because it's like an approval kind of, and there's not even approval. It's like I said earlier, you don't care what happens. Because you realize that there is nothing, that nothing happens. If you care what happens, that means you're just reinforcing the illusion. Nothing actually occurs. This is an illusion. I'm always doing this. Bang, 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 bang. This is an illusion. And I'm trying to not get you to see, well, that's the old man is yelling again and pounding and things. I'm just saying, please look at your mind tomorrow afternoon at 3 o'clock or next week or whenever the next time, or right after this meeting, sit down, hold still, sit symmetrical, and just watch the bologna sandwiches arise in your mind. Don't accept them. Don't do anything with them. Don't eat them. Don't do anything. You don't need to do anything with them. This is responsibility, and this is a response. The response is just receive, not to push or pull or react. If you're reacting, then it's not wrong. It's just that you're more on the circularity, on the tilt-a-whirl, or on the carnival ride of relative truth. Life and death, life and death. You'll be here over and over and over again. Find out your true nature. Possible. Thank you so much.
There it is, penetrating through all places, so that we and every sentient being together can realize the Buddha's way. Dio san chi shiku, shi son bu san moko san, woko cha mi. the 10 directions, the 3 times, all Buddhas, all venerable ones, Bodhisattvas, Mahasattvas, the great Prajna Paramita.
Bodhisattvas of the 10 directions and the 3 times, please hear us. Please come down out of the light and protect Sokukoji Buddhist Temple Monastery, our Sangha, families, friends, and visitors. Heal everyone who is unhappy, sick, or suffering, and fill them with light.
Thank you, Sokuzan.
You're welcome, Cynthia.